So hi everyone, today in this video we're gonna develop another mental model that can be useful for you, since mental models are representations about how the reality works. And the reality that as much more you grasp them, so higher is the probability, the likelihood of you getting what you want. That tends to be prosperity. But to have prosperity, you rely in being a good decision maker. Because by being a good decision maker is what so makes you able to get the actions that actually make sense for you, because you know that by being a better predictor, because you know better about how the reality works, because you have more knowledge, then so you're gonna take the actions that will bring to you the feedback that you're seeking for. That so we already have understood. Everyone gets that what we have and what we want for us is always the best as possible, and then so we tend to look for information to make us have also to have prosperity. But then so what's called as well be a type of way to act towards the information, to grasp it. We want to get them as much as possible at low cost as possible. So why not grasping the mental models that are like the abstract concepts that you can take from the old books, all type of rights that is made so by the people that study. You don't need to read all these things. You just take the concept. It's like the most important thing, the meaning, and then so you don't need to study a lot of time. Just take some time a day and you so read and get these mental models. And then so I'm with this paper. I'm with paper to provide this video that talks of mental models that are taken from all the fields. But what's going to be a one today? It's the four drivers of power shifts. It's a one that I take from study history and finances. And what's the core idea? The power in history shifts when one of these four drivers disrupts the status quo. Ignoring anyone leads to decline is what we want. But then so what are these four drivers of power shift, these type of things that we have to look if I want to remain having and being powerful? First, technology is always the game changer. What it is? The tools, weapons that redefine production, war, or communication. Examples: the gunpowder in the 9th century destroyed feudal castles that so created centralized nation states. We have the internet in the 90s, the broke state, the media monopolies that so created decentralized power. See, so how the technology shift as shifting in terms of the internet, as broke the state and media monopolies to become more decentralized, and you have to show me that everyone has the power so to grasp information other one has so have to provide, and we don't rely in the things that are easily manipulated as they have a lot of the media that we see today. And we have as well the example of the gunpowder, or in the technology of we having like more guns, more tools, weapons that have so destroyed the feudal castles and have make it able to the power shift because it becomes more decentralized by the nation state. So technology tends to be the game changer. A lot is probably the most important driver for power shifts. People that have better technologies, they tend to easily so get more power. And that's how that we see today. If you develop a technology, if you move to market, and you as well have other technologies that are not just technically talking about making your product, but if you know as well technology, what's technology? The definition is you have a technique to do something. If you have a technique to raise awareness and drive people to buy it, it's a technology that makes you valuable. But obviously, what's like where we lose our whole time in school and things is learning these techniques. Techniques in Portuguese, techniques in English, techniques in engineering is where what we pretend to get. Second, second important driver that we have to look as well is geography. The invisible hand is how we can count as well. So what it is? Rivers, mountains, or trade routes that shape resource access. Let's examples. The British Empire, what has made? The Highland geography created naval dominance that created global trade and make the British Empire so having prosperity. Russia's winters stopped the Napoleon in 1008-12, and so a man that I don't know if we can call it, but a man that everyone knows, not for good reasons, that has so promoted the type of ideologies that we don't support today. A man that has like the man in Germany in the last century. What's the modern twist? Climate change is redrawing geographic rules. We have example, the melting Arctic creates new trade routes. So geography, because the people, what's the person rely? Rely technology, person rely in the economy, what they produce, because if they produce something is valuable, I have a higher probability to become rich because other one will want to get what I have. And if I'm able to produce something, and if that something is scarce, is even better because more value is attributed for that. And obviously, so the geography important if I have access to rivers, mountains, so regions that I'm able to get the materials, raw materials, to as well contribute for the creation of our technology. So it's important to understand the geography of the countries. Already with these 2 points, you can already get so why USA is so important, because geography is in a good region. We have mainly more for the south, a region that exists what? A good weather, neither is too much cold, neither is too much hot. We have technology. The USA is one of the most, is the most, is the country that has more prosperity, or also brings two things that contributes for why USA is so important. Another thing that, for example, we see in Europe, that has made Europe lose power over time. Because what? Another driver for the shifts in power is the demographics, the human side. What it is, the population, the growth, the median age of population, or migration reshaping societies. What could be, for example, the risk? The youth bulks, like in the Middle East, creates revolutionary civil wars. Another examples in history of why important demographic, how important is demographics. So to make shifts in power, we have the Roman Empire relied on slave labor, then so created collapsed when the conquest stopped. We have the China's one shield policy that has happened in the last decades, makes created the hedging population that has created the China to not have economic growth as had in the past. Demographics is really important. As much youth tends to be the medium age of population, more we tend to look and more this country has so growth, and that's why people a lot, for example, in Europe promote so much migration because it's good to obviously support the social state that exists, but as well because obviously to have work labor, and then so with the aging population, we become a stagnant type of country. And for one, the ideas. The idea is obviously important, the brains they have. So beliefs that you need to divide religion, nationalism, human rights. It's important to look for that. Examples: the Protestant Reformation in the century, in the 15th century, broke Catholic Church's monopoly on faith. We have the communism in the last century, toppled empires but collapsed under its own contradictions. What's the patterns? Ideas spread fastest during crises like pandemics, is war. It's important to look for ideas because it's reality is the ideas that creates the beliefs that rules the way that I act. Beliefs is what makes me act in certain ways. That's why so it's important. If you have the technology, if you have the geography, if you have the good demographics, but what's the reality is that you don't have like ideas that creates unions for you to produce in scale technology you have. So to make profits, you don't get it. Think so. It's important to you can get all the three drivers of this, but if you fail in one, you all going to be incomplete. You're going to put in risk. You can have good technologies, you can have geography, you can have a good type of ideas, but if you don't have demographics, for example, if you have a population that's too much old, they are naturally have less energy to compete with other countries, with other companies of other countries, and then so obviously you're gonna, if you're looking for a competitive market, you're not gonna succeed. So why this matter today? Looking for certain type of things: artificial intelligence, technology, disrupting jobs, warfare, and creativity, climate refugees, demographics and geography colliding. So we're seeing that certain specific events, they are changing the way that the countries can kind of score in these four type of drivers, and then so can change the power that population has. So how to apply this model is analyzing modern conflict is good. For example, the Ukraine war, what's they're fighting? They're fighting for what of these drivers? They're fighting for geography, resource corridors, but as well they're fighting for ideas, nationalism. Ukraine is going more for European Union, Russia doesn't like it. USA, China rivalry, they're fighting for technology like semiconductors, and they're fighting as well and as well they're different in demographics. As in China, there's a more youthful in terms of not the rivalry of US China, but China, India. You have to look for India because India can come as a new type of power because its demographics is so much different in comparison with the Western civilization. They can be a potential type of power, a shift power that's gonna so to resist to them. It's important that you can look for it. So I expect this video to make you gain insights. I expect it was enough to make like this channel to apply in your life. Obviously, the knowledge that you got, and I expect it was enough to subscribe and see other videos that may trigger your interest. Without much more to say, just thank you and see you in the next one.